Now, we said that the meaning of curriculum in relation to Genesis, according to Maxim Grimm, who developed the definition of curriculum. Maxim Grimm, the spelling is written like what I'm highlighting for you here on. If your phone is showing very small fonts, please you touch the screen and spread apart your fingers, then it will expand. It will expand for you to see. It will expand for you to see. Just in case your phone is showing small fonts, so then you can be able to follow up. So Maxim Grimm developed a definition of curriculum, which says that curriculum is what you and me undergoes from the time of birth to the time of death. So to trace the meaning of curriculum, one has got to see what has this person undergone from the time he's born to the time of death. So that's the curriculum of someone. So everyone in the world has his or her own curriculum. Everybody belongs and has a curriculum which explains what kind of life and what kind of things has gone through somebody's mind, somebody's sight, somebody's nose, somebody's senses, and what has made somebody's life from the time of birth to the time of death. Now, according to Maxim Grimm and according to scholars who have studied curriculum, they say when they ask a question, when is the person born? Because here we have talked of from the time of birth. We need to trace when is the person actually born. Okay. In curriculum, a person is not born at the time one goes to the labor room and actually gets the child from the body outside. That time is actually not called the time of birth. So in curriculum, the time a person is born is a time of conception. Take that very, very boldly. Underline it and put it in red pen, quotes, in capital letters. A person is not born at the time of delivery. Because in curriculum we differentiate the two things. One, there is a time of birth, there is a time of conception and a time of delivery. Now, curriculum, when we talk about the time of birth, in the definition of curriculum, we are actually meaning the time of conception. And when is the time of conception? That is when the person is conceived in the mother's womb. That is when inside the mother's womb here. That is when the male gamete and the female gamete meet to form a zygote, and then afterwards the zygote has to form, the scientists know that it forms into a fetus, and then okay, that is all attached into the what? To the mother's womb or the uterus. So when we are talking about the time of birth in relation to curriculum, we are not talking about the time of being in the labor room and the child is produced in the labor room. No, we are actually talking about the time of conception, and the time of conception is occurring at the time when the male gamete meets the female gamete to form a zygote. Now that's the point when the curriculum is actually beginning. At this time, during this time of conception, the child is in a phase of physical development and intellectual development. And this stage is called the prenatal stage. Prenatal stage. Prenatal stage. Prenatal. Prenatal. I can create here my whiteboard. Insert. And let me insert here a whiteboard to be able, or my chalkboard to be able to write for you, to be able to write. Not needing, I don't want a comment, I want to insert a text box. Good. I want to insert a text box. Good. Okay, I want to insert a text box. Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to insert here a text box and then make it large enough to such a way that if I am speaking about something here, I don't know whether you can see the whiteboard, so that when I'm speaking about something here, we can actually write, make a write up in white here. So we say in conception equals male and female gamete meeting. They meet. So male and female gametes meet, and this is occurring in the mother's womb. So if one asks where does the curriculum begin? It begins in the mother's womb. So during this time, we are calling that prenatal stage of growth. During this growth stage, if these are very small, I can expand. People are straining their eyes to see. I can expand a little here. Very good. Then hopefully people can now see. Insert no comment. Okay, so during this stage, it's called prenatal stage, the child is undergoing two major forms of growth. Intellectual growth, intellectual development, other call it intellectual development, and the physical development. This is now under the child is in the mother's womb. These two developments are actually happening in the mother's womb. This is the time, at the time of conception, the male and the female gamete meeting occurring in the mother's womb. So the fetus is attaching itself to the womb. Now this is where life is beginning. Life, we have said earlier on that life does not begin at the time of delivery. Life has already begun by the time the male and the female gametes meet, and that is what we are calling conception. And this, because it is before birth, so we call it prenatal, before birth. After birth, we shall call it postnatal. During pregnancy, we call it natal or antenatal period. Antenatal period. You've heard of women going for antenatal care. Now, during the prenatal stage, the child is in the mother's womb and therefore is relying widely on the mother, on the state of the mother. So, during prenatal, what happens to the mother apparently also happens to the child. If the mother is in good condition, possibly the child will also be in good condition, because the child is sharing on whatever the mother has. So, for example, in nutrition, looking at nutrition, when the mother is malnourished, where will the child get the nutrients from? If the mother is malnourished, possibly the child will also be malnourished. Finished. Because the child's nutrition is the mother's nutrition. Okay. Now, on the other side, when the mother is well nourished and is feeding on a balanced diet, the child will also have a balanced diet. So this will help the child to grow physically healthy and also mentally healthy, because the building blocks of the brain and the building blocks of the body, the bones or the cartilage are being supplied by the good nutrition of the proteins and the energy of carbohydrates, and the child can also grow bigger in size if the mother is feeding on fats, lipids, and on proteinous food. But again, the other side, we can also experience the child being malnourished, growing thinner and thinner, because the mother is not feeding on food that brings about cell expansion and cell multiplication. So we don't need to go in too much science here, but the logic is that good nutrition will always bring about good nutrition of the mother will always yield good nutrition of the child, and also poor nutrition or imbalanced diet of the mother will also result into imbalanced diet of the child. Look at the other side of health in terms of disease and in terms of disease and complications. If the mother has HIV, so the child can only get this HIV at the time of delivery. So we shall also look at that, because when the child is inside the mother's womb or the uterus, so is inside the mother's womb, what is expected is that and what is already there is that the child's blood does not mix with the mother's blood. The child's blood does not mix with the mother's blood. The child gets nutrients from the mother to his or herself. You know, many times we say eat. I mean, in my language, I don't call those children in prenatal stage as eat, as if they are not people. So the nutrients are transmitted from the mother to the child through what we call diffusion. The nutrients just diffuse, and actually some of them go by osmosis. The blood of the child does not directly touch the blood of the mother. There is a layer, a sheath that separates the blood of the mother from the blood of the child. That's the reason why an HIV positive mother can produce an HIV negative child if the time of conception, if at the time of delivery, the midwives and the mother take carefulness to ensure that the blood of the mother does not at any time touch the blood of the child. For example, the umbilical cord of the child does not actually receive any contamination of blood from the mother. And if that protection is done, then the child can be born when is positive, when is negative, and the mother is positive. Now, there are some diseases which can affect the mother but can also come and affect the child. And that's why it is always important for a mother to keep visiting. Of course, these are the detailed explanation that one has got to undertake when a question such as describe the genesis of curriculum or define curriculum. These are explanations that one has got to give, because at university level, a student is not expected to be narrow. Is not expected to be narrow or shallow, but deeper and wider and detailed. So now, there are some diseases that can affect the mother and can be transmitted to the child during the prenatal stage. That's why it is always important for mothers to keep visiting hospitals for antenatal checkups to prevent crossover of diseases from the mother to the child. And also, the position of the child is very central. So you've heard of some mothers producing children who come out with their legs first. And yet the normal situation is that the child has got to be produced when the head is the one that is coming first and the shoulders. So this kind of inversion can be seen before the child is actually delivered. Can be seen during the prenatal stage and then arrested, or it can be corrected. The disorder can be corrected. And if it is not corrected, then preparation is made to prevent the child from getting deformation. Because during the prenatal stage, there can be several possibilities of deformation, physical deformation, and also intellectual or mental deformations. So, when the child, if for example, is inverted and is left to be inverted like that, you could find that a hand is in a wrong position, and then it keeps in that wrong position until the child is delivered. So that hand the child can be born with a lame hand, which if it is the position is reviewed and then it is the position is changed during prenatal stage, the child can be born without a physical handicap or a physical deficiency. So again, the eyes can also be wrongly positioned in the mother's womb, in a position where they cannot grow healthy and enable the child to see after delivery. So these can be seen and checked with the current advancements in technology and thoughtfulness of people. This can be seen before, during the prenatal stage, and arrested so that they do not cross over and spread to the child. Now, let us look at again the use of the mother using drugs. Some drugs, for example, are medical drugs, which are pills. Maybe the mother has conceived and doesn't know, is trying to make sure that he's doing some preventive measures for pregnancy, preventive measures, and then is taking some hormones which can vibrate the uterus, and when the uterus vibrates with such a hormone, such as some tablets have anti-pregnancy tablets or injections mostly contain a hormone called estrogen. Estrogen is the hormone that causes ebisa, what you hear called ebisa, that vibrates the uterus and propels what is inside the mother's womb to come out. So the estrogen hormone, actually, if it is introduced, either it is by injection, it causes vibration of the uterus. And if we do not know, like a mother does not know that she conceived and takes these tablets, they can actually misposition the child by vibration or cause a miscarriage. That is okuvaamu olubuto nga teweeyagalidde, what we call a miscarriage. Abortion is actually a deliberate removal of the child, but miscarriage is not intended. It can be accidental. So when you look at such tablets can cause vibration in the uterus, which may result into a miscarriage. So we end up losing the child. The curriculum ends on the way, and the child does not benefit the community and is miscarried. However, when the miscarriage does not occur, such kind of vibrations can also cause either a mental disorder or a physical deformation. If you end up having some of the babies born with one ear having a piece, it's not full, or one of the ears, the second one is full, the other one is partial, or a hearing defect, or a mouth defect, or the shape of the leg is not okay because these vibrations actually happen. So these vibrations are caused by taking tablets which anti-pregnancy tablets. Otherwise, the mother is expected to be protected from all forms of torture, physical torture and mental torture. Physical torture, for example, if the father or a person in the community kicks the mother on the stomach, and where the person has kicked, that's where the leg is. That leg is very fragile. It will bend. It will either break and form inside there, so the child will be born with deformed legs. And also, it could be a head, it could be elsewhere. So physical harm to the mother is should be protected, should be prevented. And also where the mother walks. For example, a pregnant mother, an expectant mother moving in rain, and it is slippery. The mother can slip on the floor and fall, creating a harm on the child. Remember, during prenatal stage, the child is growing physically and also is growing mentally and is fragile. So any little harm, physical harm on the mother can easily spread to the child. And also that is now when it comes to physical the physical harm and physical torture, which can be by battering. When you read the book, you saw battering or beating the mother, and that's physical torture. There is also the other aspect of environmental effect on the mother. It could be natural disaster. For example, if it comes to times of earthquakes, earthquakes can cause physical vibration of the environment and that can also create a harm on the child inside the mother's womb, and can actually break down some of the parts of the child. And what do we do? If it the with a mother, it is always advisable that when the mother experiences the environment of an earthquake, the mother has got to stand up and walk around. Why to walk around? Is to reduce the effect of vibration, the momentum of vibration on the whole body. You know very well that when you are sleeping on the ground, the vibrations are so intense and can actually create great harm. But when you're standing and walking around during times of 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 earthquakes, the impact is very small. That's why the Baganda have a setting, an arrangement. I think that even it is perceived to be like when an earthquake comes, they send the mothers to go to the kitchen and touch something like the ash, and maybe come with it and spread it or somewhere. This is what they do. That action enables the mother to stand up, move around, and which reduces the effect of vibrations of the earthquake on the whole body, and this saves the child's state of or status of living in the mother's womb. And then it can even go to animals. Even if you have a crowd of animals and of cows or goats, if it is an earthquake, it's very good you wake up and go and wake them up so that they stand up. When they remain sleeping on the ground, they will actually the miscarriages can be very many, especially to those that are expecting. Now, there is an issue which I had introduced but did not exhaust it. It was the issue of drugs. If the mother takes alcohol, it is also likely that the alcohol will go through the digestive system and the bloodstream of the mother, and it can easily diffuse through the veins and the capillaries of the umbilical cord and the mother to child transmission section. So the child will end up sharing on the alcohol that the mother is taking, so the child can get drunk inside the mother's womb. It can even spread over, and the alcohol stays in the child's bloodstream, creating some thirst or feeling to like drinking alcohol when the child actually grows. To those who are not counseled and advised against alcohol, they may think that alcohol is something that is like food, or that should be taken like water, because the blood has already got some saturation of blood of alcohol in it, and before the child is actually born, the child gets the saturation of alcohol in it, and that affects the child's postnatal cognitive growth. Then you also look at if it is taking some certain drugs such as smoking, or even smoking does the same as what we have discussed about alcohol, even other drugs mentioned there. So the mother has got to be fully protected from such occurrences, which can actually result into deformation, cognitive deformation, and a physical deformation, or handicapping the physical growth of the child. We can also look at the other aspect called the aspect of the aspect of mother status, and then that is mental stability and the emotional stability of the mother. Now, when the mother is stressed, the child can also be apparently stressed. So the stress of the mother can spread to the stress of the child. So the child's mind is stressed, so it gets the stagnation or degeneration or a deformation because of stress. Again, when the mother is joyful, even the child inside the mother's womb can share on the same joy. That is the state of the mind and the state of the heart of the mother. So a lot of fear can be transmitted into the child and can actually affect the child's growth if the mother's state of life is not catered for. So the fathers and the government should have to create an environment where the mother is in good state. This is during prenatal stage. And also, we look at issues such as war, where the government is involved and the whole community. So here we say, in such situations, the government has got to make sure that if there are wars, then the use of toxic chemicals, such as the use of uranium and the use of the group 8 elements, you know them, or group 0 elements, which if they are used, they can deform the genetic or the DNA setup of the child or even of the mother. Like inhaling toxic gases. You've heard of the bombing that happened in Japan, which led to death of many people. But this bombing was atomic bombing, which had, when the parents inhaled these toxic chemicals into their nostrils and through their respiratory systems, their genetic and their DNA systems changed, were distorted. That's even up to today. From several years back, some children are born without legs, others are born without eyes, others are born with a piece of mouth, the upper lip missing, the hand, some of the fingers are counting 7, others are 5, others are 4. So such kinds of deformations can, by prevention of atomic and nuclear weapons, can be prevented. That's where even the government is advised not to use nuclear weapons or atomic bombing in fights of wars or in any form of attacks, so that the community is protected and the prenatal stage goes well. Now that's prenatal stage. Now during delivery, the mother has got to keep checking on the doctors and those doctors for advice, so that during the period of delivery, the mother does not do self-delivery or neighbor support. So during this stage, the mother has got to go to a health expert for help to support delivery or aid delivery. These are midwives or midmen. I don't know whether they are mid husbands. but they have to support the time of delivery. Now, during this time, the biggest sensitivity that we have to take note of is the issue of oxygen. That most of the what you hear that they call they call deficiencies or disorders, always most of them occur at the time of delivery. Why? Because of mismanagement of delivery and the child does not receive enough oxygen. When the child does not receive enough oxygen at the time of delivery, the biggest impact the child will ever have is mental deformation. So mental deformations and mental incapacitations, those mental deficiencies are usually as a result of the child receiving inadequate oxygen. That's according to research. Even UNESCO, USO, and medical experts agree to it. So it is very important that the child is supplied with enough oxygen. You see, some mothers take long to push out the child. That's oxygen dating. Sometimes when the child is delivered, there are certain mucuses they have to withdraw from the nostrils and the mouth to enable the child breathe within a very short time, so that oxygen that is taken in, the first oxygen that is inhaled, helps to support the development of the brain. If that does not occur, then the brain will not receive the development that is required at the beginning of life outside the mother's womb. Then also prevention of mother to child transmission of infections or diseases. This is also occurring at the time of delivery. Remember, we are differentiating the time of birth from the time of delivery, and we said that the time of birth is actually happening at the time of conception. So now during delivery, that much care has got to be given to the mother. Much explanations, you will make them later. Now, after delivery, the child is exposed now to three growth aspects: physical growth, intellectual growth, and social emotional growth. Social emotional growth. Inside the mother's womb, there is no social growth because the child is apparently is inside the mother's womb, sharing on the mother's nutrients and the internal environment, but not necessarily social with the mother, because social comes with interaction and then communication and serving one another. Those three aspects: interaction, communication, and serving one another. And this is only happening during the postnatal stage. Postnatal stage is a stage where the child is out of the mother's womb and it is happening at the time of delivery. Now, during postnatal stage, the child is exposed to the external environment. The other one was an internal environment. Is exposed to the external environment where the society, the community, and the environment around has a direct impact on what goes in the mind and what goes on the body and what the child is actually exposed to. So this is a curriculum. During the genesis of curriculum, or explaining the detailed meaning of curriculum, we said we talk about Maxim Grimm's definition of curriculum, which says that curriculum is what you and me undergoes from the time of birth to the time of death. Then we start to differentiate the time of birth to being the time of conception. When differentiate the time of birth to being the time of conception, not the time of producing the child out of the mother's womb, then we start to say that now you've grasped the meaning of curriculum. Now, after conception, the child is harbored in the mother's womb, and that's where the curriculum is actually beginning. So we say that inside the mother's womb, the child is largely relying on the mother, and what happens to the mother apparently also happens to the child. We looked at nutrition of the mother and the nutrition of the child. We looked at the drug abuse of the mother, then the child is also affected. We also looked at the aspect of misuse of drugs, or the aspect of wars on the mother, the effect of also torture, physical and mental torture on the mother, and also cognitive or mental torture on the mother, also affecting the child. So we later on looked at the aspect of seeing that during prenatal stage, the mother has got to frequent the physicians, medical physicians, to make sure that the position of the child is okay, the health of the child is good, and then get support during delivery. And during delivery, we prevent disease, transmission of diseases, and also supply of the child with enough oxygen. So curriculum respects prenatal stage like nothing, because during prenatal stage and during delivery, that's where the physical growth of the child is protected, and that's where the cognitive growth of the child is supported. So during this time, the child is undergoing the unseen curriculum, or the curriculum that we not see. Then later on, the child is exposed to postnatal stage, where the child is interacting with the external environment, and where the child will have to be supported to grow physically, intellectually, and also socially or emotionally. So there, the external environment has a greater influence on the child, and later the person can keep on increasing in size, increasing in age, and is exposed to several things later on. There we can start to trace curriculum in the postnatal stage. So right now, where we are, is there some questions, some inquiries? One of our members has left, and I think that is Mr. Baguma. Okay. Yes, is there some inquiries? You can unmute if you have, then we can go to something else. That is the meaning of curriculum. Sorry, Florence? Okay. Okay. Now let me continue. You can now mute if there is nothing you are saying, apart from advising people to mute their videos. Okay. Florence, Florence, Florence.
When you tap your screen, the words that are there.
Okay. Now, where you see a camera, an icon, or a symbol for camera, you touch it, and then a red cross will come. Yeah, you just touch it, then the video will go off. There is a where there is a video, something that looks like a video. Okay, okay, okay. Now, as you're still battling with the muting the video, you tap your microphone if you're not speaking anything, so that the microphone goes off. Kizito mutabani we agamba ki? Soko mutinge. Okay. Now, when we are talking about curriculum, we are also talking about what is going into the life of the person from the time of birth to the time of death. What is this person getting all through the time of birth to the time of death? So, we are looking at this person is growing intellectually. That is cognitive growth. It's growing physically. That's physical. It's growing socially. That is social growth. Interacting with others and interacting with the things around, including non-people, things which are not people, like water. That's also interaction. Animals, plants, air, and light. Someone is interacting with all those, and there are some discoveries that this person is getting all through the life, which informs his knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. This is all curriculum. Again, this person is also going emotionally. We'll find out there is something to believe in, there is God, there are some beliefs the person is also receiving. All those are adding to his knowledge, values, and skills. And at the same time, they are also adding to the values. According to the people you stay with, you receive some values that when you're greeting, you have to shake hands. Zaitun, you can mute the microphone by tapping on your phone. Then where there is a microphone, you touch it. The red cross will come there. So that it does not make noise for people. Zaitun, if you are still on your phone. Okay. Now, all this is curriculum, because that is what the person is undergoing. So even people who have not gone to any school, Because curriculum is about life, all around life, wholesome living, they also have knowledge. You'll find a person telling you about how to kill a snake, and there is no course unit that explains that. That how to pick a snake by your hands and it doesn't bite you. That person has got that without necessarily being in class, because curriculum is what a person undergoes from the time of birth to the time of death. He has discovered that along the way. You find someone is able to make a table and it is so nice, or a chair and it is so nice, and that person has not gone to school. Why? He has undergone a certain curriculum which has enabled him to discover or learn from other people in the community and is coming up with something. All this is curriculum. That's why we always equate that curriculum is equal to education. That with education cannot be without curriculum. Because education, what's the meaning of education? The meaning of education is the process of transmission of information or actions from one of values from one person to another, or from one generation to another. Others conclude that education is the transmission of knowledge, skills, and values from one person to another. And where does the person get these skills, this knowledge, and these values so that they are transmitted? This person gets these from curriculum. By the time you start to transmit these, it means that there is a curriculum that you've been undergoing so that you are able to transmit them. Either you've been exposed to some communities and learned from people what to do, or you have dedicated your life to discovering how things work out and you have developed your own way of how those things work out, and here you are educating them to someone. So it is actually curriculum that aids education. And also the other way that education can also support curriculum in terms of adding knowledge, values, and skills, so that the person's experience all through the time is born to the time of death keeps on expanding. Now that we have looked at the meaning of curriculum, let us go to the area where we are going to look at the branches of curriculum. There are 3 branches of curriculum, and these are natural branches of curriculum, which if one is missing, a curriculum is not complete. They are branches of curriculum. The first one is called content. You can even add the word curriculum content, but it is simple. The word is content. Content. The word is content. Now, the second one is what we are calling life experiences. The third one, you can take note of it, is learning experiences. Okay, now we have mentioned the 3 things, 3 aspects: content as a branch, life experiences, and learning experiences. Now, let's talk about content. Content. What is the meaning of content? Content, the other word to mean content is subject matter. The gist of the subject matter. Subject matter, this is the main ingredient which a curriculum developer or a curriculum expert would like to deliver to the person, to other people. That's what we are calling content. So this content is always formed. For example, to form content, you've got to content has got to explain the seven as a relationship between 7 elements, and then there is also the 8th element, but the main ones are 7. 1, there are 7 ingredients of content or components of content. If we are talking about content, we'll talk about the relationship between these 7. 1 is called light. You could have content that is talking about how light behaves and the characteristics of light and how to propagate it or how to make light, whether by electricity or whichever way. The other is air. You can have content about air, forms of air in terms of oxygen, nitrogen, whatever kind. You can even create another name for air to be gas or whatever. Then another aspect that content will talk about water. Content will have water. If you are to read a paragraph, you either find these things we are talking about. The third one is water. The fourth one is now land. Someone can say land, another one can call it soil, another one rocks, another one sand, another one whatever, stones, but we are talking about land. Another one can talk about a wall, but is talking about land. Another one can talk about dirt, dirty, or dusty, is talking about land. Plot, whatever, land. So the other is the element or component called plants. From land we go to plants. You can call them plants, grass, you can call them trees, you can call them yams, you can call them potatoes, you can call them grapes or fruits or whatever. These are plants. You give them several names, but the simple word is plants. You can go to herbs, or simple word, they are plants. Even the clothes we are putting on are plants. Then the other aspect is called animals. Content will talk about animals. Animals, these are from water, these are on land, these are flying, these are walking on these are having wings, these are not having wings, these are two-legged, these are living on land, these are in the wilderness, on the wild animals, whatever. They are animals. So wherever you're talking, you read the paragraph, you either find this. The other aspect is the aspect of people. People. You can talk about people, white ones, black, tall, short, whichever. They are people. So then the 8th one we are mentioning about are what you can hear: forces and energy. Gravitation, this is mass, these are forces and energy. So now, if one is to form content, you realize that when you're talking about light, air, water. What else have we talked about? Land, plants, animals. All these we are talking about ingredients. Yunia, what is happening? Okay. All these are ingredients. Sorry. All these are ingredients that make what we call content. If we are to form content, then what do you want to inform the community about these aspects, these components? The other, which we have not included there, is the aspect of God. We had light, air, water, land, plants, animals, people, forces and energy, and God. So you're either talking about these four, these 9 components in content. Now, content is the subject matter. The educator has to arrange this content sequentially. If you want to inform or bring some skills and the values, and these are packaged in form of content, it has got to flow from simple to complex. It has got to be sequenced, flowing in a sequence. This is content, and simply explained, formed in form of a story, and delivered in a clear and precise way, so that at receiving content, it is people hear and get knowledge, and then also people do something and get skills, not people just to hear and wait for another time to hear again. People must do. Then also you will see something called values. People must have a heart of love and have feeling of harmony and justice among one another, so that all these are ingredients of content. So we said that content is the subject matter, and then the ingredients of content are those 9. Content has to touch on those and how to use them in our day-to-day life to be productive and useful in the society. That is content, or the relationship between using one in the other. For example, you are building a house, you need a window for air and light, but you're putting walls on the side to prevent animals from coming to you, and also wind and water. You're roofing to prevent water from coming to you. And again, what are you using? You're using land, which we are calling the walls, soil. All these are combined together to form the construction cost of construction. Then you bring in the aspect of measuring, mathematics to measure and weigh. How many trips of sand, how many trips of, or how much kilograms of cement, which cement came from a rock, which is land, which is soil. So how much, what of the nails, which nails you are talking about? Land, which came from iron which was got from a rock or somewhere, and you are only creating different names to mean something very simple. Then, after arranging your content, this is what you're going to deliver, and it's clear and precise, arranged from simple to complex. Then afterwards, you start to set what we call this is called a chronological order. You set things in a chronological order. You also check the meaning of the content to see that it is not ambiguous, or it does not confuse. the people who are going to get it. Now, the other aspect we are going to look at is the branch called life experiences. Now, life experiences is not any different from what we have looked at in the meaning of curriculum. Which life experiences? These are situations or undergoings which a person encounters through his life. For example, if we see Madame Florence, where she has been there, and maybe she's married, there are some experiences that she has. So if she's invited to talk about the marriage experiences and how people should hold and be tolerant, she has something to say, though she has not been taught in a class of marriage. It's not a course she has undertaken, but prepared deliberately, but she has undertaken some form of courses which are unintentionally attended. As you travel in the taxis, you know which side to stand and which corner to stand at so that you are not overcharged. That's a life experience. So life experience, everyone has life experiences which can be shared. So these life experiences can bring about skills, values, and knowledge into people, and can be documented. Life experiences can be documented and written to become content also. However, when they are not documented, they stay life experiences because these are encounters in life that a person keeps on experiencing all day and night. So life experiences are not necessarily learning experiences, but you experience them and they inform your knowledge and your skills and values. You could be walking, you could be sleeping and getting some experiences. Some other people get life experiences in the form of revelations. He gets an idea and he starts to think of how that idea will work out. And the person later on has something to develop or comes up with a fashion without necessarily having been taught. Those are life experiences. However, there is also another branch called learning experiences. Learning experiences are encounters that a person receives, or knowledge, values, and skills that you receive only when you have been taught by someone deliberately. For example, you have attended the university, now you want to be awarded with a bachelor's, maybe in primary or secondary education, and then now you have been taught that there is Pythagoras theorem. If you were not in school, you would not learn about Pythagoras theorem. You would not know about Pythagoras theorem because this is a learning experience. So you will realize that everyone who knows how to calculate something using Pythagoras theorem has gone to school. So you'd not expect that people by just simple life experiences they learn Pythagoras theorem, they know binomial expansions, opening brackets, and they also know the body mass. They know respiration, where it happens and when, and then they also know the map of America if they have not been taught. So life experiences are somehow go up to some extent, but the people need to receive also learning experiences where they interact with one another and get taught or educated to receive skills and values. Those are learning experiences. The difference between learning experiences and the life experiences is that learning experiences, one has got to teach you deliberately like you are attending today. But life experiences, you could be walking on the street and someone mentions something that you can learn from without necessarily having prepared that you are going to attend that lesson on the street. So those are learning life experiences and learning experiences. So life experiences, you could be with your mother, she keeps weaving the mat, she's not telling you anything, but you are observing, and afterwards you come to know how to weave the mat without necessarily having attended the lessons and the and the and the having been taught. So those are life experiences and learning experiences. So up to here, is there any question? Florence, Florence, are you there? Florence.